From the Berkshires to the Sound, from wherever you live in MLB America, this is Inside the Parker. You give us 22 minutes and we'll give you the scoop on Major League Baseball. Now, here's Baseball Hall of Fame voter number 57.
You have another hot take.
Will not NOT make the playoffs.
Shohei me the money.
Rob Parker.
Come on! I've been covering Major League Baseball for almost 40 years now. In New York, in Cincinnati, in Detroit, in LA. I love this game. Let's go! Welcome into the podcast, and I'm your host, Rob Parker. And what a show we have for you today. Before we even get started, remember, press this button, the subscribe button, so that you're always here, always up to date with all the best coverage of Major League Baseball. As you know, I've been covering baseball since 1986. I love the sport. This is the place for your baseball fix. Inside the Parker, sponsored by Cuffin Season. Lock in the flavor your taste buds will love at cuffinseason.us. Get yours today. And for an extra 10% off, use the code MLB Bro in all caps. Welcome into the podcast. I'm your host, Rob Parker, and what a show we have for you today. Coming up, former Major League outfielder and MLB Network analyst Chris Young joins us. Plus, from MLB.com, Jason Beck. He covers the Detroit Tigers. That plus Foul or Fair. Let's go.
To lead off, it's Getting Robbed.
And keep them up.
Rob's hot take on the three biggest stories in Major League Baseball. Number 1.
We only have 4 baseball games left to the regular season starting today, Thursday. Unbelievable. And what a finish it has been. I mean, we're still on the edge of our seats. Every night I'm watching. I can't believe what I'm watching. And I'll be the first one to admit, I was not into the idea of expanding the playoffs and putting all these teams in the wild card. I just think I didn't want to do this in baseball. I didn't want the Major League Baseball to turn into the NBA or the NHL, where more than half the leagues make the playoffs and the regular season becomes irrelevant. But man, here we are, 4 games left coming into Thursday. And the Yankees and Blue Jays, that division isn't decided. Then you got the Padres and Dodgers, that division's not decided. You also have the AL Central with the Tigers and the Guardians not decided. There's playoff spots at stake. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better ending to the baseball season. And then come Sunday, everybody plays at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's a frenzy at the end to find out who makes it in those final wild card spots. So I got to give baseball credit. I wasn't a big fan of the wild card, but again, I've been proven wrong because this is exciting stuff. Here we are, a lot still undecided, and there are only 4 days left in the baseball season.
Number 2.
I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care how great the Dodgers rotation is. In order to win in the postseason, you got to have a closer. Somebody who gets those big outs at the end of the game to win it. The Yankees wouldn't have won all those World Series championships without Mariano Rivera. Don't kid yourself. Sasaki and Kershaw pitched on Wednesday for the Dodgers out of the bullpen. They did well, but the rest of the bullpen didn't do well, and the Diamondbacks scored off the bullpen late again. Unless they get this thing figured out, or guys who have been struggling all year finally get it together, like Tanner Scott or something, and he has some unbelievable postseason after a terrible regular season, then maybe they have a shot at repeating or getting back to the World Series. But with a shaky, leaky bullpen, I can't see the Dodgers making the World Series. I really can't. They've lost so many games late that it's going to be tough. So I'm counting the Dodgers out as long as that bullpen stays the way that it is.
Number 3.
If the Tigers do not NOT make the playoffs, I'm talking about totally going from 15 and a half games up in the division in the AL Central to falling all the way down where they're now in a wild card spot. And if they lose that wild card spot in the final 4 days of the season and they're on the outside looking in, I'm sorry. Manager AJ Hinch has to be fired. If you don't get fired off a colossal collapse like that, when could you possibly be fired? And some of the blame has to go on the manager. What happened? Undisciplined, hit 19 strikeouts in a big game out of 27 outs. Like it's just there's so many things to look here. All the Tigers had to do was win 3 or 4 games over the last month, and they would be okay, and they would be going to the playoffs. They had a chance to be the number 1 seed in the American League, and now they can be out, and you're going to poo-poo that and act like nothing happened. And hey, all right, AJ, let's get them next year. Really? This is an epic, a historic collapse. It will be one of the worst collapses in the history of baseball. Now, if they hang on and they get in the wild card, then of course his job should be safe if they hang on somehow. But I'm talking about totally falling out, no postseason whatsoever, no postseason, no AJ Hinch. That's what I'm saying.
Here comes the big interview. Listen and learn.
Oh, it's so good.
All right, now let's welcome into the podcast Chris Young, the former Major League outfielder, of course, broken with the Diamondbacks, played for the Mets, played for the Yankees, the Red Sox, just had a tremendous career, and now doing a great job on television as a MLB network broadcaster. What's happening? How are you, CY?
What's up, Bart? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Always.
You're not arguing with BK today.
No. It's going to be me and you today. But
What's
I don't
happening?
know. Hey, let's go here. Like just the baseball season and it unfolding. I mean, the drama. Chris,
Yeah.
I just can't, like night after night, I'm watching these games and these finishes and walk-offs and just all the stuff that's happening. How exciting has it just been for you to watch and where baseball is right now?
Man, we've been on pins and needles. It's a mix of surges and collapses all happening at the same time. You have teams like the Diamondbacks still trying to fight their way in, and then you have the Tigers and the Mets, who seems like the world is ending right now. But to see Kyle Raleigh doing this thing, the Mariners taking over that division after the Astros just couldn't figure out a way to win the game. It's been so many storylines, and what makes it so beautiful is that they're playing into the very last week of the season in which that momentum is going to carry right into the postseason. So we're due for a really exciting October this year.
You know what? Let's start with the Mets, okay? And then we'll talk about some of the other teams. But, you know, they win the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Look at his numbers, whatever. They're fantastic. We got it. Got off to the slow start. But this team to be struggling where they are, they might not make the playoffs. How big of a blow would that be if they don't get in, considering, you know, the money they spent, the team that they have
Right.
put together? And this team was good last year.
When you look at the epic collapses that the Mets have had in their history, this is right there with them. Granted, it hasn't all been at one time at the end of the season. It's been a gradual collapse all throughout the second half. But to think to yourself, man, the Mets spent all that money bringing over Soto, winning the sweepstakes, like you said, coming out the gate, that starting rotation looked, you know, on paper going in like it wasn't that strong. But how the season started, they looked like one of the best rotations in baseball. And it seems like that has come to a head at this point to where late in the year, now you're almost depending on 2 or 3 rookies to get you to the postseason. Tong had a tough outing last night. McClain is going tonight, and you're putting all the weight on McClain's shoulders to have to carry an organization like the New York Mets to the postseason. That is so much pressure on a young player. But Senga going down to AAA, trying to figure it out, I think that really put them in a tough spot.
Let's stay in the National League, a couple other teams, and then we'll go over to the American League. The Milwaukee Brewers, we know what they've been able to do this year. I don't know. Am I being unfair, Chris, when I say that they might have peaked too early? I know the Brewers have had really good regular seasons. They've lost 11 of their last 13 postseason games. I'm out on the Brewers. I think they peaked already.
You think they're pumpkins.
I do.
Pumpkins.
I just do. And I know it's unfair, But I just, when you go 29-4 in baseball, something's going to correct itself. You know how the baseball is. That's an unbelievable number in this game.
Yeah, to some extent, you assume you are who you are, but I don't think they're pumpkins. I think the Brewers are the real deal. Real deal. The only thing I'm worried about is a couple of the key injuries that just popped up. Woodruff getting hurt. That's a big hit. Quintana being hurt. That's a big hit. McGill being hurt. That's a big hit. The Brewers' philosophy is still surrounded by the pitching. Yes, they have a lot of slightly above average players that put their entire lineup together. And I trust that style of play. I think they have just enough thump to be able to compete in the playoffs, but you need all those pitching, or you got to need all those arms available. And that's a team they're going to be so sensitive to the fact of the health of their pitching. And if their pitching is down, they're going to be in a tough spot. But I don't think they're pumpkins, though. I think they're a legit good team.
All right, okay, we know the Phillies are a good team. I don't want to go there. I want to go with the
Yeah.
Dodgers. And I know where the Dodgers are. I mean, they got a chance to wrap up the division over the Padres, but there were struggles. I mean, as good as they are on paper, see why they just, I don't know, they don't feel the same to me. And I don't know if it's just because the bullpen is terrible or what it is. There's something that doesn't feel the same. Where are you on the Dodgers this year?
I think the feeling comes, and I think what you're feeling is exactly what the team is feeling when you're losing games late in the game. I think the energy that comes and that's depleted from a team when you're giving games away late is some of the most debilitating energy in baseball. And the Dodgers have a major problem in their bullpen right now. The guys that they gave all the money to, Kirby Yates is injured, Scott and Trinan have had their fair share of struggles. But on the bright side, you have a starting staff that's one of the best in the game, and you have 6 viable starters that I think Dave Roberts is going to find a way to mix and match those guys in the postseason while trying to find opportunities for Scott and Trinan to get that confidence back. Because I was looking at an interview a couple of weeks ago with Stanner Scott, and it seems like the world is falling on him. But all you need, it's like a boxer. All you need is a couple good knockouts right before the postseason starts to get that confidence back up. And you're just riding that wave similar to what the Mariners are doing right now.
All right, Chris Young is our guest here on Inside the Park, of course, former Major League outfielder and MLB Network analyst, does a great job on television. Let's go to the American League. The Yankees didn't look like they had a shot at winning the AL East, and now they're tied with Toronto. The Blue Jays have the tiebreaker. The Yankees have an easier schedule to finish out here. Do the Yankees win the AL East?
The Yankees win the AL East. The Yankees win the AL East. I think the squad looks good. Toronto, it seems like they're trying to figure out some things on how their starting rotation is going to line up for the postseason. I trust either offense, but it's something about the energy of the Yankees for me. I think about a month ago, watching the way that they're playing the game has made a significant difference to how they're built for the postseason. I think they're a better team. Even though you lose Juan Soto, I can confidently say that they're a better team this year than they were last year. We saw the defense come to a head last season in the postseason. But bringing over guys like Caballero, having McMahon at third base, I think you've shored up the defense. Caballero being able to go out there and steal bases. I think they're a more complete team. And even though you don't have Garrett Cole at the top of that rotation, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, and I would probably get the ball to Schlittler after that or Hill. I think the Yankees are going to find their way to the World Series once again, because for something's telling me that they're going to find their way playing 2 American League Central teams at some point throughout the postseason and finding their way to the World Series.
All right, let's get to the Central, and then we'll get your MVP vote in the American League, and then so in the Central, I mean, the Tigers' collapse is epic. I mean, this is just as good as Cleveland has been, and they've won almost every game. But if the Tigers win 2 or 3 games, you know what I mean? Like Cleveland's not in this. Like that's all it would take.
Right.
Is it Cleveland or is it Detroit? What who's running
when
this?
you look at the run when you look at the run that Cleveland on, you got to give credit to Cleveland. Yeah, Detroit is a snowball going downhill right now, and it's not looking good for the Tigers. But I think they're still going to find their way into the playoffs, mainly because the Houston Astros seem like they can't find a way to win a game either, and they lose the tiebreaker to Detroit. So that gives Detroit a good cushion to be able to still make it to the postseason. But the Guardians, that style of play, that Guardian ball is playing right now. Watching the game yesterday or 2 days ago, with Tarek Skubal on the mound. They understood that they weren't going to be able to outslug them. They understood they have to play small ball. Stephen Kwan leading off with a bunt. Jose Ramirez, you can't describe how valuable he is to that team and his style of play and his ability to consistently come through and bring that energy to the field every single day after a 30-40 season this year. The pitching has been carrying them. Parker Messick, Logan Allen. I mean, it's a lot of guys that you're not paying a lot of attention to, but when you look at their starting rotation on this run that they've been on, they're one of the best in baseball, and that is the style of play that has always gotten the Guardians to the postseason. How far it takes them in the postseason, I wouldn't put much on that, but I think they're definitely going to win that division and go there.
Yeah, that is the issue. Once they get in the postseason, they can't seem to get over the hump. All right, last thing, AL MVP. I mean, it's real close. If I had a vote, I would vote Aaron Judge. I really would. And I know what Kyle has done, which is incredible for a catcher. But Aaron Judge's numbers across the board are just outrageous. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm Aaron Judge as well. And I think I'm the only person left at the network. And I'm trying to be open-minded to this and making sure I'm not using any biases. And I'm fully appreciating what Raleigh is doing and understand that catching every day takes a toll on your body. And any catcher that I've talked to, they say that what he's doing is unbelievable. But what I would really hate to lose is the complete hitter in baseball. And I think you have to give value to what Aaron Judge is doing. And we're talking about all the history that Raleigh has made, passing up Mickey Mantle. But we can't forget that Aaron Judge is making history as well. In this single season, I'm not even bringing up his years from years past. This season alone, he's the second player ever in the history of the game to lead both leagues in batting average and hit 50 home runs. The guy he passed up, or is right there with, is Mickey Mantle. So it's all about how these storylines play out on what we're appreciating. And if we're, as analysts, saying that we miss the complete hitter and we miss guys or we're rewarding guys who are only chasing power, I think we have to award guys that aren't doing that. Less guys than ever are hitting 300 in the big leagues. So
it's
I think
unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Even more valuable for guys who Aaron Judge hitting 325 and still hitting 50. He's doing something that's a lost art in this game. And he, in my opinion, impacts the Yankees lineup even more than Kyle Raleigh impacts the Mariners lineup. But Kyle Raleigh is the one going out there getting beat up as a catcher. And I think that does give you some kudo points for sure, but just not enough to take over how Judge is dominating once again this year.
See why I'm with you. I just in a league where the league batting average is averages 242, and you got a power hitter hitting 325 in this day and age where all these fresh arms, everybody throws 100. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
think about it like this, Rob. If we talk about Riley like it's one of the best players of all time with the numbers that he has right now. If Kyle Riley had Aaron Judge's numbers, we would be losing our minds right now.
Yes.
On the opposite side, if Aaron Judge had Kyle Riley's numbers right now, and everybody, whoever's watching, pull it up from his career numbers, this is where voter fatigue comes in. Look at Judge's numbers. If he had Riley's numbers, we would say, yeah, his homers are good, but why is his on-base percentage 100 points lower? Why is his OPS 200 points lower?
Thank you.
We would be talking about Aaron Judge as if this was a down season for him. And that speaks not down on Kyle Raleigh, but on the greatness of Aaron Judge.
Well said, my man. Hey, Chris, thank you. I appreciate you, and see you soon. And, man, I can't wait for the playoffs to start.
Yeah, I'll see you soon, brother.
In case you missed Rob Parker on the MLB Network, here's his latest appearance on MLB Now.
The Showdown is not meant to cause offense or harm. The viewer acknowledges any reliance on the accuracy or completeness of said content should be done at their own discretion. The host apologizes in advance for any affront as a result of personal attacks.
Time for the Showdown with my friend Rob Parker. We went through this last week. Glad to have you back again this week. How was your week? How you doing?
Not bad, Steve. I was down in Baltimore
over on Saturday, and actually was in attendance when Giancarlo Stanton hit his 450th home run. I was there.
I love it. I would also say probably you had a better week than the Detroit Tigers had, as the Tigers had 6 straight losses during the course of the week. They've lost 9 out of 10, and they now have a 1-game lead in AL Central over the Guardians. It has gone from 15 games down to 1 game right now. All right, so do the Tigers make the postseason?
No way, no how. Steve, I talked to you last week about this. You said you weren't concerned that they would get in. I am convinced they will not. And if the Guardians beat Scooball tomorrow in Cleveland, it's a wrap. That's their last chance. They might not win another game this season. It's been this bad. And I'm not looking at this as, oh, what a bad stretch. It's unfortunate. The Tigers lost 12 out of 13 in July. They've done this. This is who they are. Frauds. They were a mirage all year. They're not that good, Steve. They're not. A good team doesn't lose this many games.
Well, I mean, they've also won more games than many of the teams. And remember, they're doing it this year a lot like they did last year. It is pitching chaos. It's just that A.J. Hinch is putting guys in a position that they haven't gotten it done. But what they did with the off day today, they were able to move Tarek Skubal up to pitch on Tuesday and have a start, and he gets another start potentially on Sunday. So 2 of the 6 remaining games can be started by Skubal, and so I think it does give them a real chance still to get in, especially if they win on Tuesday. I think the other part of it is the Astros feel like they're in a worse position than are the Tigers, and so I think that although Detroit's not in a great spot, I think Houston's in a worse spot, which could open the door for Detroit.
Here's my only issue is the Tigers feel dead to me. I mean, you've watched the games, you've seen, and you see a team this bad, and I get it. You're banking everything on Skubal trying to win you 2 games. That sounds good. The only problem is last year when they got knocked out in the postseason, it was Skubal who was on the mound. This Guardians team is better than you're giving them credit, and I'm telling you, I think they'll sweep all 3 games, and this will be done for the Tigers, and Skubal might not even have to pitch on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see which direction this ends up going. All right, so the Brewers clinched the NL Central yesterday. They have the best record in baseball. All right, they won the Central, best record in baseball. And so now they're going to head back to the postseason. The postseason has not been a really good place for them, right? Since 2018, 4 times they've been eliminated in the wild card round, once in the division series, once in the LCS. They have one World Series title, one pennant since in 1982. So they've gotten back to the postseason again. Do they have to win to be able to justify this success?
100%. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. The Brewers are good. We know this. They've made the playoffs with this year. That'll be 7 out of 8 years. But they're 2-11 in their last 13 postseason games. And if you're honest with Brewers fans and you would have asked them, nothing they did this year will matter to them if they can't at least move on and give it a run. This has been ridiculous at how bad they've been in the postseason. And that's the only way they're going to justify. The problem is I think they peaked way too early when they were winning every night, it seemed like. And you know how baseball is. So could there be a thump at the end with the Brewers again? I think it could happen.
I mean, they went 29-4. They played out of their mind. You're right. They played extremely good baseball for a long time. That being said, you think about this franchise and the size of the market. You're looking at a small to middle market team that has been ranked in the bottom third in payroll in period. Look back to 2020, this year, 24th in payroll. Last year, 22nd. The year before that, 20th in payroll. You think about bang for the buck. Nobody gets more bang for the buck than do the Milwaukee Brewers. And so I understand that the postseason, I look at it a little bit more as a crapshoot than you do. I think it's a tournament that it's not the best team that wins. It's the team playing the best that gets hot at the right time. That hasn't been them. Give me the franchise that keeps taking their team to the postseason. Sooner or later, the timing will work out for them. I think they've done an unbelievable job to put themselves in this position that I look at it and think that they are as good as anybody in baseball right now and have as much a chance as anybody to get to the World Series this year.
Well, here's the problem, Steve, and I hear all that, and you sound like a general manager trying to justify your gig, but I'm sorry. At some point, you're that good all year, but when it comes down to winning a couple of important ball games you can't win. And you can talk about payroll and size of franchise and all that. All I know is the Tampa Bay Rays have gone to the World Series. At some point, you have to push through. And that's my point, is that it's not good enough just to be good. The same players who got you a Central Division title the last few years now all of a sudden can't win you a playoff series or a wild card round. Like there's a disconnect there. So I understand it. It's not equal. People have different payrolls, but they have to be better in the postseason. Nobody in Milwaukee cares about the Central title. They want to move on for the next round in the postseason.
But of all the teams and all the negativity we could spew on people, the Brewers are not one of them. They're one of the baseball's best stories this year, and we'll see if they can't get it done in the postseason. Now some bad news. Brandon Woodruff on the injured list, a moderate lat strain. We'll see if he's ready for the postseason, and some issues there. So we'll see where they end up going. All right.
You know what the Brewers will wind up being in the postseason? A warm beer if they don't win a playoff series. How's that?
I love it. Warm beer is not the worst thing in the world. All right, Giancarlo Stanton hit his 450th home run. You said you were there. You saw it over the weekend. All right, 450 home runs. Does that make him a Hall of Famer?
No, not yet. He has to get to the magic number 500. I'm not putting him in off of that. But when you start looking at some of his numbers, I think they're impressive. Look at this. Fifth fastest to 450. And it tells you a lot when you consider how much time he's actually missed. He has more postseason home runs than Babe Ruth in the same amount of games. Babe Ruth had 15. Giancarlo Stanton has 18. And I think when you look at it, like how impressive his numbers, nobody wants to be injured. Like people want to hold that against him. You can't hold that against him. He doesn't control him being healthy or he doesn't want to play. Of course he wants to play. But when he's out there, he's one of the best. Won an MVP, a home run title. I mean, hit 59 home runs. He's got a lot on his plate. And when I look at the collection of his career, if he gets, and I'm not even going to say if, when he gets to 500, and if he helps the Yankees win a World Series, he will get voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. To me, 500 is a magic number, and he's close to it.
Well, I think I just heard you say that he's better than Babe Ruth. I think I heard that.
I didn't say that.
I don't know. I think I heard that. Now, I think Brian Kenny would go nuts right now if he had heard that. So here's the thing. Doesn't a Hall of Famer need to have Hall of Fame seasons? Like multiple Hall of Fame seasons, and he's got the MVP, but he's had only 3 seasons in which he's played like 135 games or more during the course of his season, and so he's not stayed healthy. And I think in order to be an MVP or to be a Hall of Famer, don't you have to have like a career of seasons that get you to the Hall of Fame instead of just pieced together over the course of multiple years?
No, you have to be able to be around to put up significant numbers. To me, as a Hall of Fame voter, if you get 300 wins, if you get 3,000 hits, if you get 500 home runs, you automatically get my vote, because to be able to stick around in the big leagues long enough to compile those numbers, they're still magic numbers to me. This is not Dave Kingman hitting 460 home runs, batting .230. This guy's had big home runs in big moments. Go look at his postseason. Every home run he hit last year, Steve, for the Yankees either tied the game or put them ahead. It wasn't window dressing and a 10-run blowout. They were huge home runs in big moments and big spots. He's must-see TV in the postseason. I think that gives him the extra juice. I get the injuries. I get the missed time. But when he plays, he's one of the best players.
Well, I tell you what, his case will be certainly an interesting one at some point in the future. All right, coming up, Rob, thanks so much. Appreciate it as always.
When Rob was a newspaper columnist, he lived by this motto: if I'm writing, I'm ripping. Let's bring in a writer or broadcaster, old or new.
All right, now let's welcome in Jason Beck from MLB.com. Of course, he covers the Detroit Tigers, his 24th season, which I cannot believe. Jason, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Good. How are you, Rob?
Doing great. Way better than the Tigers, and that's why we want to jump in on this. Jason, you've been covering baseball for a long time. This is an epic collapse, okay? Coming into Thursday, the third and final game of this series against the Guardians in Cleveland, where you are. The Tigers are now one game out of first place, have a chance to not even make the playoffs, depending on how these final four games go. Just what has happened here with this team? It's pretty amazing.
Well, some of the issues we're building over the course of the summer, you could kind of see where, okay, the offense is a bit streaky. The bullpen has taken on a lot of work really for a good chunk of the season. You could kind of see some guys kind of, struggling with workload, maybe running on fumes at times. Then you couple that with a mixed trade deadline, honestly.
A lot
Traded.
of fans I know in Detroit feel like they didn't do enough, that Scott Harrison just sat on his hands.
I mean, they made moves, but I think when you look at the Charlie Morton trade and the Chris Paddock trade, those both backfired. Morton's no longer with the team at all. Paddock is basically at the very end of the bullpen, just, it only seems to pitch in lopsided games or games where they need innings covered. Those were two guys who were supposed to step into the rotation. Morton was acquired in no small part to be that experienced guy in a swing role for a playoff run, and he's not even going to be around for it if they make the playoffs. It had gone to that point, and that's left the rotation in a lot of flux after Tarek Skubal. We've seen up and down performances from Jack Flaherty and Casey Mize. Casey has seemed to settle things down a bit. Jack has been not quite as up and down as before. But after that, there's a bunch of question marks right now. And I think when you look at the bullpen, Will Vest has had struggles. Tommy Kahnle had an outstanding first couple months, had some midseason struggles, looked like he was coming out of it, and now he's struggling. Kyle Finnegan got hurt. So all of a sudden you combine that in a team that has had a turbulent relationship with strikeouts offensively over the entire season.
I'm glad
And
you
it's
brought
been a
that up.
calamity.
I'm glad you brought that up because game one of this series against Cleveland, where you have Skubal on the mound, and the Tigers strike out 19 times, like 19 times in a game. I mean, just like that's unheard of.
It's not just they struck out 19 times, Rob. They struck out 19 times, the vast majority of which came against a starting pitcher that they had just seen a week ago. This was their second time around against them, and it looked like they did not make adjustments, that they were in the same chasing out the strike zone position that they were in last week in Detroit. And I think that's a disappointing part. I think, when you hear AJ talk about what the Guardians have been able to do to his pitchers offensively, you can sense that he wishes his offense was more like that in terms of tenacious at bats, putting the ball in play and putting pressure on the defense to make plays against them. They were doing that for parts of the season. They have struggled to do that over like the last 6 weeks to 2 months, and it has definitely bitten them.
Our guest is Jason Beck from MLB.com. Of course, he covers the Detroit Tigers and has for 24 seasons, does a great job. One of my good friends, Jason. Let's go to Tarek Skubal, who started that important game one. The Tigers moved his spot in the rotation, hoping that he'd pitch on Tuesday and possibly Sunday if they really needed him. He had a 2-0 lead. Everything came undone. But Jason, we know how great he is and the Cy Young Award winner and all that. But that no-look throw in the biggest game of the year to first base in that situation, I just cannot understand how that could happen. It just didn't make any sense. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could not have caught that ball at first base.
It was an uncharacteristic mistake from a pitcher who was trying to do too much. And in Tarek's defense, he has tried this before. It has come up earlier in the season. It looked, somewhat similar to that. But I think in the heat of the moment, he did not want to give up a rally based on back-to-back bunt singles. So he tried to do something out of the ordinary that was very risk reward, but the risk was way higher than the reward, and he paid for it. And in some ways, yeah, you would have had two on and nobody out anyways. But I think there's a big difference in that inning between runners at first and second and nobody out, and runners at second and third. And you saw
exactly. You could get a double play ball. A lot can happen there.
And especially against that offense, which excels at putting the ball in play and advancing runners, you are basically putting the game tying rally on a platter for them at that point. And it is Tarek, I think, in part trying to be ultra competitive, which is one of his strengths. It is a huge part of what motivates him to be who he is. But I think it's also him carrying the weight of this team and its season on his shoulders. He feels it. He doesn't talk about it a ton. He wants to make this about the team, but everybody knows who sees this team for more than a few days. Like, this is Tarek School's team, and when he takes the mound, there's an immense feeling like this is a game they should win.
Okay, Jason, one last thing. If this is the absolute collapse and this thing falls apart, they don't make the playoffs. Does AJ Hinch get blamed for this, or Scott Harris? What do you think? Could AJ Hinch lose his job if they don't make the playoffs?
I think AJ's okay. I think, given how important AJ has been to building this organization to get to this point, I think he's in a good spot. I think they still feel like he's the guy they want to build this team around and want leading this team, especially since this has a chance to be an even younger team going forward. Next year, you're going to have Kevin McGonigal, Max Clark, and Josue Vecino knocking on the door. Your core could change fairly dramatically next year, especially if there's a decision to be made on Tarek Skubal.
All right, this is going to be a stink if they don't make it, Jason. I have not. 1964 Phillies blew it, losing 10 of their last 12 to give up the division, not make the playoffs. Hey, Jason, thanks for the insight. We appreciate you as always, my man, and we'll talk to you soon. Stay well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob. Good talking ball with you. Always.
Thanks, Jason.
Absolutely. That was good. That was good stuff.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I appreciate you, man, jumping on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Glad to do it. Thanks for thinking of me.
Now, here's the best from MLBBro.com.
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm Kanan Cadwell, and I'm spitting straight facts on MLBBro.com. For every team fighting to lock down the playoff spot, the Arizona Diamondbacks are banking on one of their young stars that heat up at the plate, and that's 23-year-old shortstop Jordan Lawler. The 6-foot Texas native has been giving Arizona a spark since getting called back up in late August. But this September alone, he's racked up 10 hits, 6 runs, 5 RBI, and a pair of stolen bases. And while the Diamondbacks are keeping him mostly a designated hitter down the stretch, that hasn't slowed down his rhythm at the plate. Lawler is hitting .333 with 6 doubles in September, showing exactly why he's considered one of Arizona's top young bats. Right now, the Diamondbacks are still hanging around the wild card race. They're wrapping up their series against the Dodgers before taking on the Padres this weekend. I'm Kanan Cadwell with MLBBro.com, and I'm spitting straight facts.
For more, right now, go to MLBBro.com.
That ball is.
It was a big week in the big leagues.
Who's up? I don't believe it! My, oh my!
Is it foul or is it fair? And now, from MLBBro.com, here's J.R. Gamble.
JR, is it foul or fair to say that if Aaron Judge loses the AL MVP to Cal Raleigh, that is because fans are tired of Judge dominating the AL and not because Cal Raleigh actually had a better season than Aaron Judge.
Fair. While 60 homers is hard to beat, Judge has topped that number in recent history, crushing the all-time single-season mark in the American League in 2022. And he's hit over 54 times. So I know people are just getting very used to his magnificence. We can sit here all day and talk about how Judge is leading the league in batting average at .328, 13 points better than Jacob Wilson of the A's, and about 80 points higher than Cal Raleigh. Judge's 51 homers are only 9 less, and he has about 30 more hits on the season, slugging almost 100 points higher. Let's be honest. This isn't a competition, really. But the fact that Raleigh's a catcher, it's a great story. Seattle, small market. He probably looks like every kid who ever came out of Cullowhee, North Kakalaki. Baseball is very nostalgic. And Raleigh's season harkens back to the days when Johnny Bench and Yogi Berra, even more recently Gary Carter and Mike Piazza, who were catchers, who also had elite slugging games. That's rare now. I mean, it's been 13 years since Buster Posey won it in 2012 in the National League, and we have to go back to 2009 in the American League with Joe Mauer. But baseball loves a great catcher story. And honestly, the fans across the country don't ever support Yankee players, in my opinion, as they should for MVP. The fact that Jeter has no MVP supports my argument, but Raleigh isn't having a better season than Judge by any metric outside of home runs. I did say, however, that if he got to 60, I wouldn't have a problem with Cal Raleigh being the MVP for the same reason that everyone else is supporting him. Aaron Judge fatigue. That 6'8" guy in the pinstripes, he's just too good and too consistently great at this point for anyone to marvel at the Hall of Fame stuff that he makes look easy. And that's his bad.
Make way for weekend wagers.
Yo, it's Sean Bo. Fire up those bed naps. Let's go. We are peaking at the perfect time. 4-0 the last 2 weeks. The season is sitting at 23 wins, 29 losses as we enter this final weekend. It's been a fun year, but yo, let's go 2-0 with a bro to close things out starting on Friday. For Friday, let's go ahead and grab those Red Sox -1.5, visiting those Tigers to end their season. Put the nail in the coffin if Rob Parker and the Tigers haven't already done so by then. And then Saturday, let's go with the big dumper. The Seattle Mariners -1.5, led by the MVP hopeful Cal Raleigh. They're going to close out their season with a win, a big win over the Dodgers, who are already...
Hi, I'm Rob Parker, the founder and editor of MLBBro.com, where we cover black and brown major leaguers. 75% of the content will be about the current black and brown stars in Major League Baseball. The other 25%, we'll take a look back at some of the great black players. On the site, there'll be a ton of great written stories and videos and features.
MLB Bro, because you need to know.
MLB fans, when it comes to Major League Baseball, no one covers it better than the Odd Couple.
Facts. I am the baseball king.
First, second, third, and home.
We're leading shows with baseball. Game over. They don't watch it. They don't know the game.
All in one place.
Let's go!
Right here on Fox Sports Radio.
I love baseball. In the words of New York TV legend, the late Bill Jorgensen, thanking you for your time this time until next time. Rob Parker, out.
He can't get it. This could be an inside to Parker.
See you next week. Same bat time, same bat station.